from their perch. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes going for gold? We break out our dream flag football teams. But right now, you're in for a very special treat. Last night, while watching Thunder Wolves and plotting drive times to nearby casinos in the Indianapolis region, an elite committee of analysts, brotherly shove enthusiasts, and foul merchants fought and toiled and burned the midnight oil to deliver the best segment in all of sports. It's an honor and a privilege. It's time now for a special conference finals edition of Knicks Tears.
Indeed, we are down to just 4 teams. So the committee had extra time to not only to analyze, but also to work on the titles. And like I said, the committee was none too pleased with some of what they watched last night. And it's embodied by, they took it out on at least one of these teams. The bottom of the tiers, sadly, Brew, I know this is your pick, gonna need to be perfect. And I don't think they have to play a perfect game to beat Oklahoma City. I don't think it's that type of discrepancy. Right. What I do mean, though, is they now, in order to advance to the first NBA Finals in franchise history and to play for the first championship for any Minnesota team in like the last, I think, 37 combined seasons. Yeah, or 27 combined seasons, whatever. It's something like that. It's like 140 combined seasons for the 4 teams there. They have to either beat Oklahoma City 4 out of 5, which seems almost impossible, or 3 out of 5 and then win a Game 7 in Oklahoma City, which is one of the last true, real home court advantages. And so in order to execute that, they are going to have to play the best basketball they've played all year. And it's not just, obviously, Ant's got to be way better than he was, but they are going to need to have, the Thunder don't have stars off the bench, like bench stars. They have a very deep team. The Timberwolves should, with Dante and Naz Reid, be able to have real, like 2 guys off the bench that could score 25 in any game. They're going to need that throughout the rest of this series.
I do agree. Last night, they lost their room for error.
Yes.
You lost your room for error.
That's
I agree with you on that.
All right, next team on the tiers. You'll like this, KW. Embodying their city. The Pacers. You know why? They want to go fast.
Oh, that's good.
Indy 500. They want. I mean, that is where they got their, of course, team name. Pacers and the Pace Car, and they really are. That is their path. Their path is nobody plays our style. Nobody left in these playoffs certainly plays our style, and we carry ourselves with confidence of a champion, even though we've won nothing. And there's something to be said for that. You know, like that I don't think they are going to feel like we've arrived. They were in this round last year. I don't think they're going to feel like the Knicks are, but unless they beat the Knicks last year. And I do think they're going to feel like, you know what? Let's just see how much, sorry for the pun, Wilds. I know you hate puns. Gas you have left in the tank.
I get it.
Come game 6 or 7, as Brew was talking about, to wear
Once
them down.
the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. Or the rubber meets the parquet. Rubber soles, parquet floors. Does that work? No? Okay.
Parquet in Boston.
Yeah. Well, what's it called in a regular state?
Hardwood?
Hardwood. When the rubber meets the hardwood. How about that?
I've spent the last 65 minutes resisting a great Indy 500 dad joke.
Let's hear it.
Go ahead.
I'm not ready for it. I'm going to save it for Indy 500.
Okay.
Wait till you hear it
tomorrow?
Yeah, you're going to love it.
Okay.
See, you shouldn't have done that. Now I'm just like,
wanna hear it right now?
chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
It's my son's joke.
Okay.
What do we want to go to the Indy 500? When do we want to go? Meow!
Not bad.
I might use that.
Not bad.
I might use I told him I was going to use it.
You do it for our first guest tomorrow. See how they do.
Yeah.
Next row on the tiers.
What?
All right. Again, KW.
Another pun?
No, it's not a pun. And I don't know that you're going to like this, but this is what it is. The Knicks tier, saving the NBA 1 round at a time. So here's what I mean. Last round against Boston. Did the Knicks, by beating Boston, stem the tide of 63s a game being the norm
that's actually interesting.
for every team in the league. Maybe. This round, are they going to potentially stem the tide of Reggie Miller and Tyrese Halliburton taking a victory lap together to make the NBA Finals?
Reggie will probably call some.
Reggie's going to call every single one of these games, and it's the final games on TNT. Tyrese Game 7 last year, remember, wore the Reggie Miller, the choke sign shirt. They already did all that.
Yeah.
And then, if they get there, if the only thing standing between the champion team being those guys in Oklahoma City led by the free throw merchant that is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be Jalen Brunson, who's a bit of a free throw merchant himself.
Yes.
And the New York Knicks. Which brings me to the top of the tiers. Historically great grifters.
Oh,
so here's the deal. They are historically great. That's why there's the ... Because they are a historically great team on paper. They won 68 games. They have the league MVP. They go 10 guys deep. Yesterday, pre-garbage time, they played 10 guys, didn't even include the other Jalen Williams.
And
so
guys that had not.
Right, guys that hadn't done much at all. And so I do think they have contemporaneously historical, meaning the last couple decades, all-time great defense. All-time, last 20 years, one of the best defenses we've seen. All that's true. I also just find so much of the way their star player goes about his business to be unbecoming of a guy who's a league MVP. And it was unbecoming when Harden was doing it, like, to be totally fair. And I also, from the pregame shot of him laying like he was posing for a photo shoot.
Film session.
During the film session. And then during the game, the little lounging thing that Ant tossed the ball at him.
Just relax.
You know what?
I just don't love it, but they are a historically great team.
It'll be interesting if they win the championship and he's going to be the MVP. That'll be announced tonight. I would assume he'll get a lot more attention and commercials. Like, his personality will come out even more. You got an idea about it right now?
Yeah.
But it'll be
and
interesting
I don't think he has
to see.
I want to be clear.
He's not a bad guy.
I don't think he has a bad personality.
But it'll just be
I think
interesting
he
to see.
actually is probably more charismatic than the audience knows because they're in such a small market and he doesn't. I honestly
He's
think
a fashion guy.
Yeah. I think that hustle helped Anthony Edwards a lot. Like, he hasn't had something like that. Just the foul stuff just kills me.
All right, let's start in the East. 2 questions off tiers. First, we're going to talk about the Pacers. Underdogs tonight and in the series, despite this being their second trip to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2 years. Brew, you've already picked the Pacers this show.
Yeah.
Look at this. First in field goal percentage, first in three-point percentage, first in assists, which you talked about, and first in passes, kind of go hand in hand there. First team ever with 50-40 splits. So
that's really impressive. That
part. Is this are the Pacers getting enough respect from the committee here?
Well, I think so. I get why the Knicks are favored, all right? And as long as you're not saying they're going down in a sweep or a gentleman's sweep.
Not at all.
Okay,
That's not what I think.
if you're saying they're going to get beaten 4 or 5, then I would think that's disrespectful. But no, otherwise 6 or 7, I'm fine with that. I think, again, this is just an interesting year. It is somewhat of a change into the guard because the LeBron, Steph, Durant aren't in this, and we got these new guys. But also, they're a completely different type of team. But the Pacers are also somewhat like OKC in that they go deep. They've got one star. I mean, Siakam's made some all-star teams. You could compare him to Jalen Williams, that level of player. Halliburton's not SGA yet, but I think he's a budding superstar. And so, they're just, you're going to underrate them a little. Like, not just me, but a lot of people have underrated OKC because they don't. We've been used to seeing, not just in, the player-generated super team era, but for the most of NBA history, you've been used to seeing teams with multiple stars win the championships.
Yeah.
And we don't have that, not with OKC, with Indiana, should they do it. And so I get that.
And if I could expand on that just a bit, because I think this will be an excellent series, and so I think the Knicks are better. But to your point, this is not to me a quick series for either team. I don't think either team really has the ability to beat the other one in 5 games. Like that is certainly not a sweep.
Pacers just crushed the Cavs in 5 games.
And that's something that that's going to be interesting to see, because obviously the Cavs were banged up. I mean, everybody played outside of, Garland missed 2 games. Everybody else played
4 of the 5. Yep.
Yeah, but was Garland, he looked hampered with the toe, and he couldn't. So that's the question. Was that team even close to the 64-win Cavs team? If they were, then maybe Indiana's
listen, they beat them in 5, and the Knicks beat a Celtics team that I do think was better than the Cavs in 6. The point that I was going to make, though, is we've never had a Final Four that I can remember where none of these teams' best player is this like physically overpowering either wing or center. You know what I mean? Like that, you go through all of for obviously the first 30 years of the NBA, it was always your big man, and then it was just a long history of guys, not at LeBron's level, but like in LeBron's mold, being like Tatum. You know what I mean? The best player on a team, and so it's so unique that all 4 of these teams are led by guys, under 6'6", who I know Ant does play above the rim at times, but really not so much. And he's strong, but and so it's just a very unique Final Four.
And let me say this, because I said it last week, it didn't catch on yet. It needs to catch on.
That's right.
And I'm predicting the Pacers winning, so this will make it official.